All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss with an impromptu Monday live stream. It is Monday, August 28th of 2023. So like I always do at the beginning of every stream, if you're new to the channel, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, the notification, and the like button. Wanted to jump on today because wasn't able to record any podcasts, so I wanted to just jump on and do a live one. Been very busy, obviously preparing for the season, also preparing for my job as a high school football coach. So a lot of stuff is going on. But I wanted to discuss some of the cuts that were made today because cut down day has to be finalized by tomorrow, where all the NFL teams have to get in line, their rosters in order. Anticipate some names, some known names probably getting cut loose. And certainly we already saw that today with Colt McCoy getting released by the Arizona Cardinals. And, the Cardinals are really just tearing down the entire team all the way down to the studs. I mean, it's just unbelievable. They traded one of their best offensive linemen to Houston last week. Now they're getting rid of Colt McCoy. They're going to go with Clayton Tune. It's just a mess over there. So nothing with the Eagles yet about the running back situation. Nothing yet about Jonathan Taylor, as it appears it's the Miami Dolphins or bust. That seems to be the consensus. That seems to be where this is headed. Will the Colts bring in somebody in his place, or are they just going to go with a dreaded, non-interesting three-headed monster of Deion Jackson and then Evan Hull and the guy who's injured, Zach Moss. So don't want any of those guys on my roster, even as backups, bench guys. So we're going to talk about that today. I also wanted to talk about some players, and I touched on this briefly the other day. Those players that I regret not owning. So I did 2 drafts for my 2 leagues already done. There are certainly some players that I wish I would have ownership of, and I wanted to talk about that today. And then finally, over-unders. So I want to give you my over-unders, a couple of teams that stick out to me. For the over-unders, I'm going to give you those picks today. And during the course of the season, I'm going to give you my NFL picks. There's a couple of games. I'll give you probably 4 or 5 games each week that I like against the spread. Do with that what you will. Used to do picks years ago when I had the website, had somebody come on in addition to giving my own picks on the website. But I'm going to get back into that again this season. I've always, done fairly well. Most years, small profits. Some years better than others, but I'm going to give you my selections on a weekly basis this season. So anyway, so a lot to discuss today. Like I said, taking a look at some of the players that got cut loose today. Nothing, the Bucs released John Wolford. No big deal there. We had, obviously, Colt McCoy getting released by Arizona. I think he'll catch on, with somebody. So they're going to go with Clayton Tune. Not sure what this does for Marquise Brown, but really that's just an ugly situation altogether. The Jets released Alex Erickson today. He was a preseason standout, 2 touchdown catches, but did not make the team there. Miami Dolphins. Nothing really. Adrian Martinez was waived by the Lions, so they're going to go with just Jared Goff and Teddy Bridgewater. I don't see anything else. So Kyler Murray officially placed on PUP to begin the season. He'll be out at least for the first 4 games, which is what we expected. Zonovan Knight got released by the Jets. So they have removed somebody from their running back room. And you know what? That's a good place to start, the Jets running back situation. So we already know, Aaron Rodgers played well against the Giants last week. And a lot has been made about the struggles of the offensive line. It actually played fairly well, though it was against the Giant backups last Saturday, I should say. But if I'm a Jets fan, I'm a little concerned about the running back situation. Breece Hall has hardly done anything this summer. As he comes back from his torn ACL. Dalvin Cook has barely practiced with the team since he signed. Michael Carter has been woefully ineffective. They just released Bam Knight. So, Israel Abanikanda, the rookie from Pittsburgh, is injured. So this Jets running back situation is pretty ugly right now. And when you add on top of that the offensive line question marks, suddenly all this pomp and circumstance with the Jets since they went and got Aaron Rodgers. This passing offense might have to carry the team, might have to carry the offense because the running game doesn't look great, and if you own stock in Breece Hall, you're not feeling very comfortable coming into the season because again, he didn't play in any preseason games, has not done much in practice in terms of ramping up. So, is Dalvin Cook going to be ready week 1? Yeah, he should. He's got, 2 weeks to go, and they play on Monday night. And that's another thing that complicates matters. The Jets play Monday night. You're going to put Breece Hall in there week 1. If you're a Breece Hall owner, I don't think you play him week 1. I really just don't see it. Even Dalvin Cook, that might be a stretch as well. I faded this entire backfield. I have no ownership of either one of these guys, and I don't regret that, one iota. So, I think it's going to be, some rough sledding, at least initially, to start the season there for the Jets at the running back position. So Trace McSorley released by the Patriots. Jalen Guyton for the Chargers will start the season on PUP, and he's really just a forgotten guy anyway because of bringing in Quentin Johnson and whatnot. The Colts released James Washington. He's probably out of chances. Commanders released Jared Patterson. Rashad Perriman released by the Colts. So the Colts are releasing all these guys. Nate Sudfeld torn ACL for the Lions. He's done. CJ Stroud was named the official week 1 starter for the Houston Texans. PJ Walker, quarterback, released by the Bears, and he's just a horrible quarterback. I'm surprised he's hung around as long as he has. Mike White cleared concussion protocol. Salvin Ahmed is not in concussion protocol. Wan'Dale Robinson will be activated from PUP for the New York Giants. Cole Beasley is almost 100%. So the Giants have some issues that they have to work through in terms of which wide receivers are they going to keep? Are they going to cut Jamison Crowder? I think they're going to wind up cutting him. It's just a very crowded wide receiver room. They have Paris Campbell, who I actually like, and Isaiah Hodgins did a nice job for them last season. Paris Campbell intrigues me a little bit because of the speed quotient, because he, was a former second-round pick. He has the draft pedigree. But, I'm not, other than Darren Waller, there's really no, and if you're in a 5 wide receiver league, Isaiah Hodgins, there's really nothing from the Giants that I'm totally interested in from a fantasy perspective. So, anyway, I wanted to take a look at each of the positions and kind of go over the players that I regret not having any stock in. Now, as far as quarterback, there's nobody I don't have any regret on because of my 2 leagues. I have Jalen Hurts in one, and I have Josh Allen in the other. You can't have any regrets if you have 2 of the top 3 guys in the game. So, while I do really like Trevor Lawrence, and I've been talking him up all summer, I really like Lamar Jackson as always. A little bit more nervous about Justin Fields. I haven't been fully in on Justin Fields like everybody else has, just because of his ability as a passer is still up for debate. He's got a lot of accuracy issues and whatnot, and plus he's not the most durable and he's not the biggest quarterback. So I'm not fully in on him. But at the running back position, I've gone back and forth on Travis Etienne going back to May. I mean, initially I was all in. Then I got nervous because, the chatter about Tank Bigsby. And listen, Tank Bigsby played great all preseason. He's going to be a major mid-season guy, or at any point, really, if Travis Etienne winds up getting injured. But I've come back around on Etienne because, listen, he has explosive running ability. He averaged over 5 yards per carry last season, which was his de facto rookie season since he missed the entire year before that in his first season in the NFL. There is a lot to like on Etienne. I don't have any regrets not owning him, but I think he's going to be good. I really do think he's good. Jahmyr Gibbs was another guy I got a little cold feet on. I wanted him in round 4. Did not get him in either one of my drafts. He went in the 3rd round in the draft that I just did last Thursday. I think he went in the 4th round in the one that I had done a couple of weeks ago. I think it's a little pricey for a guy who might be a glorified 3rd down back, catching a lot of passes out of the backfield, yes. But I think David Montgomery is going to get more carries than you think. So, I'm with you on Tajay Spears as well. A lot of ACL issues for him in his past, Gerard, but certainly as a handcuff, and I'm going to do my week 1 running back handcuff videos as I did all throughout last season. So make sure you tune in for those. I'm going to have that up on a weekly basis like I did last year as well. I do have a share of Rachaad White, who I like this season. I don't have any shares of Miles Sanders. So he's another guy, perhaps I was looking past his issues catching the football, which they have been pretty pronounced the last couple of years. He's graded out as one of the worst running backs in football catching the football, talking about Miles Sanders. So maybe that prevented me from drafting him. I don't know, but I don't have any shares of him. James Cook. So James Cook is somebody I'm definitely intrigued by that I don't have ownership anywhere, but I have said consistently, I don't think he's going to be this bell cow back that everybody predicts. I don't see it from James Cook. I do like his ability. I think he's a tremendous athlete, explosive player, great receiver out of the backfield. And that was really what got him drafted more than anything. He was Alvin Kamara comparison works here. And this is where what I can see Cook be. An Alvin Kamara clone, when Kamara was with Mark Ingram with the New Orleans Saints. He's not going to be a bell cow back. It's just simply not going to happen. Damian Harris is still here. Latavius Murray is still here. Those two guys are going to handle the short yards in the goal line. Plus, you have Josh Allen, who's always the threat to keep the ball around the goal line. So I think the touchdown potential in James Cook is not going to be as great as you think. So in a standard league, you want to be a little careful. PPR league, you certainly can be a little bit more aggressive because I think he has a PPR-friendly game. James Cook, I did not get him anywhere. And that's somebody I was intrigued by. Positive memories of Javonte Williams, no doubt about it, with the Denver Broncos. But I think it's going to be a frustrating timeshare. Basically like Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams when Williams was a rookie a couple of years ago. I think it's going to be that kind of setup with Samaje Perine, who, let's face it, he has been very good when he's gotten the chance. On a per-touch basis, Perine has been pretty damn good over the years. So I think Perine and Javonte Williams are going to have fantasy-relevant status this upcoming season. So got Darren Waller in the 6th round. Yes, good job. I got Darren Waller on both of my teams. The only guy I doubled up on was Darren Waller, and I definitely approve of that one, Riley. No doubt about it. I think he's going to be awesome. But there is an injury history. You got to, maybe back yourself up with Hayden Hurst if you could. Hayden Hurst is a very underrated tight end who's going to catch a lot of passes from Bryce Young. Don't forget, tight ends, rookie quarterback's best friend. Bryce Young, very accurate. The offensive line is shaking Carolina. They're going to have to throw short. And Hayden Hurst, while he hasn't lived up to that first-round status and when he was drafted, he does catch the football fairly well. Kyle Pitts or Jake Ferguson. I mean, you got to go Kyle Pitts for sure. I mean, on natural ability alone, it's Kyle Pitts. The one thing that I have to say, and I'm a Drake London owner, so I'm kind of in that same boat as you, Gerard, hoping that Desmond Ridder will take this passing offense to a different level. That's the hope. I drafted London as my wide receiver 3, who I think has great upside. Listen, if you dig in on Drake London last year, his advanced metrics were sterling. They were absolutely great. The amount of separation he generated, the air yards, all of those things, his target percentage were all phenomenal. But there are quarterback question marks, no doubt about it. Thoughts on Ramondre Stevenson? Okay, like him a lot. No doubt about it. Ezekiel Elliott, the arrival, took a little bit of shine off of him in a standard league, but in a PPR league, I'm still down with him as a late 2nd-round draft pick. I was really high on him from the beginning of the drafting season, going back to May, talking about Stevenson. Not much has changed there. I don't think the Elliott thing is a major threat. I really don't. I think Dalvin Cook is a much bigger threat to Breece Hall than Elliott, who is completely washed other than a goal line back, would be to Ramondre Stevenson. Stevenson responded with a big performance preseason week 2. He's going to catch 60-plus passes. So in a PPR league, he only scored 5 rushing touchdowns last year. That wasn't a strength of his. So if he gets 5 again this year, maybe hope to get 1 or 2 more and catch 60-plus passes, he's going to be a low-end running back 1, no doubt about it. You got Ridley too. Yeah, the guys that I love that I've been talking about more than anything, Ridley and Darren Waller, you got both of them. So, all right. Anyway, getting back to and guys, keep the questions coming. This is what the live streams are for. So, any other running backs that I regret not owning? Not really. I really got the guys that I wanted to get. Like I said, the one league I have Cam Akers, James Conner, and now I'm getting a little worried about James Conner because they're just tearing everything that's not nailed down, tearing it apart in Arizona. But I have David Montgomery in that league too. And then in my other league, I have Rashad White, Alvin Kamara, and Aaron Jones. So I think I'm good at the running back position. So let me go to the wide receivers, of which I do certainly have some regrets. And Calvin Ridley and Chris Olave are the two big ones. I wanted both of these guys. I had early third round grades on Olave, right at the start of round 3. And I really wanted to get Ridley in round 4. And I stuck with my plan with both of these guys. Olave wound up going. He was out of reach to me in the 3rd round in my first draft. Ridley went in the 3rd round in both of my drafts. So I wanted to get him in round 4. I wasn't willing to pay a 3rd round pick for a guy who's been absent for a year and a half. I'm a little concerned about that. But at the same time, he's still in his prime at 28 years old. I think he's a tremendous, tremendous player. We saw how good he was with the Atlanta Falcons his last full season. I think he caught 90 passes that year. He's a major red zone threat. He's in a passing offense. I know Christian Kirk is there and Evan Ingram and Zay Jones. There is target competition, not to mention ETN is a decent receiver out of the backfield. He just hasn't really shown that in the NFL yet. But I really wanted to have at least one share of him. And Chris Olave, I love him. Michael Thomas is not a threat to him in terms of his game. We saw Derek Carr last year fixating on Devontae Adams, and it resulted in a really amazing wide receiver 1 season for Devontae Adams. I know it didn't end well in the fantasy playoff weeks, but I really like Olave. I definitely regret not having him anywhere. I got Cam. He came on strong last season. Yeah, Cam Akers, I hate the team. And I know the running backs I have are on bad teams with the exception of Montgomery. And that's going to be a challenge. However, they're going to have to play catch up. Talking about James Conner and Cam Akers. Hopefully they catch some garbage time passes. Aaron Jones and David Montgomery, I'm definitely more positive about. I have Rashad White. That's going to be another ugly situation. So the backs I have are bell cow backs with the exception of Montgomery, but they're on bad teams. No doubt about it. So that's a concern for sure. Starting Daniel Jones until I can trust Richardson. Jones can run. Yes. Yeah, listen, he really took to Brian Daboll's coaching. And I think the Giants were the best coach team in the league last year. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan. They really were. I mean, they responded to him. Brian Daboll is an offensive genius, worked wonders with Daniel Jones. And I think for the first time in his career, he's going to have the same offense. He's going to be able to operate the same offense for the second year in a row. And I think that's going to be really big for Daniel Jones. And I think the arrival of Darren Waller is going to exponentially help him as well. Really like him. 700 plus rushing yards last season. While the raw passing touchdown numbers are not great, he's going to be a threat to take the ball in around the goal line. I'm fine with Jones. I have my reservations about Anthony Richardson. You all know how I feel about that. I think he's more of a story for next year. Just like Justin Fields as a rookie was a non-entity until last season when he exploded. So I think we saw the accuracy problems with Richardson during the preseason, especially the last preseason game. So, but as a backup, he works because he's got upside, in a single quarterback league. That definitely works. Obviously, I don't have Jamar Chase. I have Justin Jefferson. I would like to have had Jamar Chase. I tried to trade up for him in my other league, but I ended up with A.J. Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I'm happy with that. I know I reached on Amon-Ra a little bit, taking him 8 overall, but I was willing to do that because I really like him that much. Who else do I don't? Deontay Johnson, I wanted to get him as my wide receiver 3. I think Deontay Johnson makes for a fantastic wide receiver 3. He's been a target hog the last 3 seasons. I know the touchdowns, the bagel he got in the touchdown department last season was a really big fluke number. Deontay Johnson is certainly capable, and his expected touchdown number last season was 5.6, I believe. So there is a lot of touchdown regression coming for Deontay Johnson. So, and that's a good stat to look up is what were guys expected receiving touchdown numbers last season, and then you react to that. I think another one was DK Metcalf. His expected touchdown number, he didn't come anywhere near it, so he's due for some positive regression. But I do like Deontay Johnson. I think he makes for a great wide receiver 3 for sure. I have Drake London. I have Tyler Lockett. I don't think there's anybody. I got my share of Michael Thomas. I had to do that. I always have to have Michael Thomas on at least one of my teams. I'm a glutton for punishment. What can I say? Zay Flowers intrigues me. He's somebody I definitely like. Sky Moore. I have Rashee Rice in one league. I really think Rashee Rice is the best receiver on that team, but he's got a lot to learn before I think they can trust him. Is Dotson the 5th round too early? Yes. There's been a lot of hype with Dotson, no doubt about it. And a lot of it is deserved. He was right there with Terry McLaurin the last quarter of the season last year. He's a wonderful talent, big red zone threat. While McLaurin has really topped out in the 5 to 6 touchdown range, Dotson can threaten double digits. He can be in that 8 to 10 touchdown range, but major question at quarterback. We don't know what Sam Howell is going to be. And I don't have the confidence that Howell's going to be able to deliver the big play, the deep ball to Jahan Dotson as much as we would like, especially in the 5th round. I'd rather have Deontay Johnson. How about that in the 5th round? That's somebody I'd rather have in the 5th round than Dotson. I'm not loving that offense. I mean, run game wise, fine. Antonio Gibson, I have him in one league, but I'm not a big, I've never owned Terry McLaurin. I've never sought him out. It's always, what could Terry McLaurin do with a better quarterback? That's always been the question. His prime years are kind of being wasted in Washington, but I think that's a little strong, the 5th round. Joe, if you ask me about Jahan Dotson. So, all right. So the other thing I want to do, and you guys can keep the questions coming while I look this up. NFL team over-unders. Let me pull that up because I like to do over-unders. I know a lot of betting is a big thing, obviously, now that it's legalized. And I used to have to, when I used to have the website, I used to have to be careful how I handled betting because it was obviously illegal back then. But now, I used to give my write-ups on how I thought the games would go on a point spread wise basis as well. But now, obviously, with it being legal, we could talk about it a little bit more liberally there. So I was looking at the over-unders this morning, and the over-unders obviously are very tricky because any key injury could ruin the bet, no doubt about it. But there are some that stand out to me a little bit more than some of the others that I want to talk about. So the Carolina Panthers 7.5 wins. That's the over-under. I can't see them winning 8 games, Carolina. I don't know. So I'm down to take the under on that one. That stood out to me, Carolina. I do really like Bryce Young, but the offensive line is kind of a mess there. They have question marks at receiver. Adam Thielen is there. I know he can still catch touchdown passes, but he's slipped the last couple of years. So 7.5 wins for Carolina. I like the under there. The Houston Texans, what was the number for Houston? The Houston Texans were 6.5 wins. So I have the under on that one as well. I think it's going to be a long year. I do like CJ Stroud. I get that there is a long history of negative Ohio State quarterbacks in the NFL. He's very accurate. Throws a good ball, a good catchable ball, so I do like him. But the cupboard is pretty bare. You have Nico Collins, who is a wide receiver 3 on most teams. You have Dalton Schultz, who you have to throw the ball right to him. He's not going to go get it. He's not an athletic tight end. So I like the under for the Houston Texans at 6.5. Tennessee Titans 7.5. I like the over on the Tennessee Titans. The Colts and the Texans are going to be bad. So it's really going to come down to the Titans and the Jaguars. So I do like the over on that one for the Tennessee Titans, 7.5. And there was another one. The Falcons, 8.5. That's an interesting number to me. Arizona Cardinals, 4.5. Yeah, you almost want to take the under on that one. Yeah, those are the 3 that really stood out to me. Is there any overs in here that I like? The Giants, 7.5. Minnesota's 8.5. Who's in that division? Green Bay. You know what? I kind of like that one. Minnesota, I like the over on that one. So Minnesota Vikings, 8.5. I like the over on that one. So Vikings, 8.5. I do like the over there. And the Chargers, 9.5. I don't trust that coach one bit. Jacksonville Jaguars, 9.5. The Lions, 9.5. Dallas, 9.5. The Eagles, 11.5. Buffalo. That's going to be a really tough division. The Baltimore Ravens, 10.5. That is, you got Cincinnati in that division. I like the under, I think, on that one. I think it's going to be a work in progress with this offense. I really do. So 10.5 for Baltimore. I like the under. So those are my 5. So Baltimore Ravens, 10.5, the under. I like the Minnesota Vikings, 8.5 over. I like the Carolina Panthers, 7.5 under. Tennessee Titans, 7.5 over. And what was the last one? Who did I miss? Green Bay, Chicago Panthers. Oh, the Texans, right? Yeah, the Texans, 6.5. I like the under. So those are the over-unders that I have for this season. Like I said, once the season gets going, I'm going to have picks each week, probably, between 3 and 5 each week, and I'll give you my thoughts on some of the point spreads as we go along. So, but listen, like I said, we are a week and a half away now. A week and a half, almost really a week, because Thursday night game, the Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a great opener. The Lions are getting a lot of hype. This is a really good team. It's a well-coached team. They have a great offensive line. They have a solid defense. They have offensive players that you have to account for. And Jared Goff, he's got his faults. He doesn't move well, but he has taken a team to a Super Bowl. So, I know he has those extreme splits at home and on the road, but I think that this team is going to be good. I think it's an excellent Thursday night matchup. And, I'm just ready to get going. And really, we were lucky. We got through the preseason. It was really just Jerry Jeudy in terms of like major injury, right? He's going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season, but not a lot of guys went down, prime guys went down injured in the preseason games. Coaches are being a little bit more coaching, maybe a little scared, not putting their guys out there. Good round in the draft, Calvin Ridley. Joe, you're going to have to do the third round. It's going to have to be in the third round. He has climbed into the third round now. I'm more comfortable with round 4 if you could pull it off. If you're okay letting him go to somebody else, then you wait for the 4th round. It would probably have to be an early 4th round pick. But if you really, really want him, you're going to have to make the move in round 3. You're going to have to make that move. Chris Olave is going in the beginning of round 3. Ridley is going in like the late middle rounds of round 3. That's what's going to take, what it's going to cost rather, to get him on your team this season. And I like Ridley as much as anybody. I think he's going to be really good in this offense. Trevor Lawrence is here. He is ready to ascend to that stardom that seemed destined for him when he was at Clemson and the Urban Meyer fiasco his first year. And I started watching that Urban Meyer Netflix special. Is a 4-part series on the Florida Gators. It's pretty good. And I thought it was going to be like one of those things where they were just going to destroy the guy, but he's cooperating. He's in the documentary, he's talking. And it was really during the Tim Tebow era, at least so far. I'm only on episode number 2 right now. But it's pretty interesting so far. And listen, he's a great coach, no doubt about it. Great college coach, not an NFL coach. 12-team league starts a draft next Sunday night. In your opinion, what do you think is the best number pick? It's either the beginning, first 2, so you can get Jefferson or Chase, or I want to be 10, 11, 12. That's it, Blair. It's either going to be one of those 2 spots. I hate the middle. I don't want to be looking at Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Bijan Robinson, the middle of round 1. I just hate that spot. That's why I reached for Amon-Ra St. Brown with the 8th pick in the draft that I did last week, because I just really wanted the guy, first of all. I think he's going to be awesome. But I just wasn't enamored with the other guys that were on the board. Barkley was on the board. Bijan Robinson was on the board. I was, and CeeDee Lamb was on the board. I passed up on all 3 of those guys for Amon-Ra St. Brown. No doubt I reached a little bit. But I either want to be in those first 2 spots or I want to be at the end of round 1. If I'm at the end of round 1, I could double up with Amon-Ra St. Brown or A.J. Brown like I did. Or, you could throw CeeDee Lamb in there if you feel comfortable with Devontae Adams. I don't feel comfortable with him at all. I know Brian Hoyer is the backup, I think, there, which, is okay because he's been somewhat decent when he's on the field. Just like Mike White now in Miami, I feel a little bit more comfortable if something were to happen to Tua Tagovailoa, and what's going to happen. He's going to get hurt at some point. Hopefully it's not a concussion because then he's probably going to have to retire. But yeah, so I would have to say first 2 picks, or I want to be at the end of round 1 for sure. So yeah, as far as the rest of this week is concerned, tomorrow's cut down day. So if we get a Jonathan Taylor trade, I am going to come on right away and talk about it. All right. So have that notification bell hit. I will come on here and talk about it. I'll do the quick breaking news video, and then I'm going to come on and stream it back because I think that's going to be a big deal. I feel like we had the same wide receivers. I ended up taking Garrett Wilson over St. Brown. Okay. And followed that up with Olave back to back. Yeah. I love all those guys. I have Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson I have in 1 league, and unfortunately I didn't get Chris Olave, but I didn't want to double up on any of these guys. The only one I doubled up on was Darren Waller. But anyway, talking about tomorrow, if Jonathan Taylor does get moved, and that's the deadline. So from what I've been reading, I've been trying to research it all day. It seems like it's Miami or bust. I've been reading that there's another mystery team involved. Is it the Eagles? That seems like overkill to me. They have DeAndre Swift, they have Rashad Penny, they have Kenneth Gainwell, they have Boston Scott, they have Trey Sermon. I mean, and Jalen Hurts himself, who runs it in. I think that would be overkill. But if Jonathan Taylor goes to Miami, you could just forget Raheem Mostert, you can forget Jeff Wilson. Hopefully one of those guys gets traded to Indy. Like I said, if Jeff Wilson gets traded to Indy in that deal, then Jeff Wilson is probably going to be an every down back, and he's gonna be, a running back 3 that you could plan on your bench and use on a bye week or in case injuries open up some time. So I'm very curious to see. I think it has to get done. I'm hearing they're never going to get a first round pick from. No, they're not going to get a first round pick from. Chargers wave quarterback Max Duggan. So, hey, he played okay, and he can run. He's got speed. The TCU kid really did a nice job for that team, taking them to the playoffs and picking up a shocking win in the college football playoff last year. I think he's going to catch on with somebody. He's very athletic. He has that Taysom Hill profile. Taysom Hill came out of college, I believe it was BYU. And had a running profile like Max Duggan does. So maybe Duggan finds a home somewhere where he can be like a change of pace guy. And I'm surprised that hasn't really caught on more. I know Jeff Driscoll did some of that last season for the Texans. But, I thought it was really effective the way that the Saints used Taysom Hill last season. But anyway, so, all right, guys, so I'm going to end it here. Thanks for coming on. Look for the stream tomorrow when Jonathan Taylor, if he gets traded. If not, probably just record a podcast. But a lot of stuff going on lately. Hit the subscribe button. I will see and chat with all of you soon.